Trading ties to be strengthened between Sarawak-West Malaysia. Weaving through heritage revival. Full clean water supply by 2025. Those are the headlines tonight. I'm Shel Shamato and this is TVS Nightline. Trading and investment ties between Sarawak and West Malaysia will continue to be strengthened. This will be done through thorough joint discussions.
In accordance to this, Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, received a courtesy call from the President of National Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Malaysia, Datuk Low Kian Chuan. The call aims at strengthening trading ties between Sarawak and West Malaysia and at the same time collaborate in facing economical challenges at the global level. This joint effort will also foresee to increase the efficiency and capacity in line with the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership (RCEP).
The number of embroiderers and weavers in Sarawak continue to show an encouraging trend. For the record, Sarawak now has a total of 120 songket weavers and 246 Karingkam embroiderers, portraying the interest of preserving this handloom industry.
Deputy State Secretary Performance and Service Delivery Transformation Datu Dr. Sabariah Binti Putit said these groups comprise of locals from Kuching, Gedong, Rajang, Kota Samarahan, Limbang and Lawas. As such, the textile craft produced by inmates from the Puncak Borneo prison has gained prominence in the industry.
Daripada 120 penenun songket, mereka terdiri daripada 37 penenun dari Kuching, Gedong, Rajang, Kota Samarahan, Limbang dan Lawas. 38 penghuni dari penjara Puncak Borneo, dan selainnya 45 graduan dari Sentex. Daripada 246 penyulam keringkam, mereka terdiri daripada 32 penyulam dari Kuching dan Pedawan dan 214 graduan Sentex.
She said this during the officiation ceremony of the Songket and Karingkam Gallery in conjunction with the official visit of Her Majesty Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandariyah to Kuching on Monday. Her Majesty is scheduled to attend the officiation ceremony of the Vocational Industries Centre's Songket Sarapride at the Puncak Borneo Prison Complex on Tuesday morning, followed by a high tea ceremony and a visit to the Borneo Cultures Museum in the afternoon. Earlier, Her Majesty's arrival was welcomed by the wife of the Premier of Sarawak, Puan Sri Dato' Amar Jumaani Tun Tuan Kubujang, and the Minister of Women, Childhood and Community Wellbeing Development of Sarawak, Dato' Sri Fatimah Abdullah. The Raja Permaisuri Agong will depart back this coming Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. Also in attendance in welcoming Her Majesty were Deputy Minister in the Chief Minister's Department, Law MA63 and State Federal Relations, Dato' Sharifah Hasidah Syed Aman Ghazali, and Sarawak Federal Secretary, Dato' Amir Omar.
The state government, through the Ministry of Utilities, has formulated detailed plans to ensure that there will be 100% clean water supply coverage throughout the region. Its Minister, Dr. Stephen Arundi Udom, said his ministry continues to strive to its task to ensure that the plan is successful and timely.
Kementerian sedang bersama-sama dengan Sibu Water Board, Kuching Water Board, Laku Management, Sdn Bhd dan Jabab telah merangka strategi dan mencadangkan projek-projek untuk mencapai visi kerajaan. Visi kerajaan yang dipimpin oleh Premier Sarawak melalui kementerian kita, bekalan air 100% menjelang tahun 2025.
Dr. Rundi revealed that 89% of the rural areas have successfully received clean water supply, while in urban areas, the said facilities has reached 99%. On another note, Dr. Rundi also stressed that his ministry has given emphasis to the conservation of clean water resources, particularly involving the coastal area of Sarawak.
Sebagai penyedia perkhidmatan dan dengan media sosial yang mudah diakses, kita akan dapati bahawa mana-mana kesilapan ataupun perkara yang ada kaitan dengan bekalan air akan cepat disalurkan melalui media sosial. Jadi oleh itu jugalah maka kita di kementerian dan di semua agensi dan jabab sentiasa peka kepada apa yang disalurkan, maklumat yang disalurkan melalui media sosial, terutama sekali perkara yang berkaitan dengan bekalan utility.
Previously, Dr. Rundi said the ministry has allocated 8.28 billion ringgit to implement 606 water supply development projects in the state from 2017 to 2021. He said the implementation of the projects relied on two strategies, the Sarawak Water Grid System and the Sarawak Alternative Water Supply Program SAWAS.
A total of 15 TAHFIZ under the Putrajaya Parliamentary received a total of 225,000 ringgit worth of grant for future upgrading works. This is a special allocation from the Premier of Sarawak to the centres for the said purpose.
The grant was handed to its recipient by Senior Works Minister Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof during the Malam Cinta Rasul program. Fadilah, who is also the Member of Parliament for Putrajaya, earlier graced the religious ceremony. Each TAHFIZ will receive 15,000 ringgit for upgrading works for ablution station, toilets, new carpets, parking, installation of CCTV and improving the broadcast system. The fund will be disbursed to each of the TAHFIZ management with a time frame of 6 months for utilisation with the attached construction reports.
Youths play a vital role in revitalizing development in the country, as they have potential to be our future leaders. As such, the Sarawak Youth and Sports Ministry will continue to eradicate efforts in supporting Sarawakian youth through activities which can bring benefit to all.
Deputy Minister of Youth, Sports and Entrepreneur Development, Dr. Ripin Lamat said the ministry will join efforts with youth associations in Sarawak to enhance and empower these target groups, as this will bring a big impact by the support from his ministry.
Jadi kita amat mengalu-alukan Persatuan Islam Belia yang ingin menganjurkan program, dan sudah pasti kita di kementerian akan membantu dan menyokong setiap program yang dianjurkan. Jadi di mana kita akan membantu, kita boleh bekerjasama dengan setiap persatuan. Saya kisahlah bidang sukan ataupun sukan juga lah, sukan memancing sama ada sukan bola sepak, badminton kah, ataupun yang lain-lain, yang aktiviti lasak ataupun sukan biasa. Jadi kita akan sentiasa bekerjasama dengan semua persatuan Islam Belia di negeri Sarawak.
He said this during his speech at the closing ceremony of the Sarawak Active 2022 fishing competition organised by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Entrepreneur Development Sarawak in Miri Division in collaboration with the Kampong Pujut Youth Association.
The state government will waive the licence fee for hotels and lodging houses in the region for 2022. Miri City Council Mayor Adam Yee Siu Sang said this comes as part of the government's 8th package of the Bantuan Khas Sarawak Sayang BKSS 8.0 as an economic incentive to mitigate the effect of the COVID-19 on the public.
In a statement today, he said for those who have paid their license fee, the amount paid will be credited, period.
And now on to the next update. International travellers transiting through Singapore who are partially vaccinated, unvaccinated or tested positive following the RTK antigen test will have to be quarantined, where they will have to bear the cost themselves.
According to the latest Standard Operating Procedures SOPs, non-Malaysian travellers are required to purchase COVID-19 insurance so that the quarantine costs may be covered. They are required to take the RTK antigen test at the entry point, where they will have to pay for the service to the healthcare lab service provider. All international travellers entering Sarawak are required to download the MySejahtera app and fill in the pre-departure form under the traveller icon. The pre-departure documents required are RT-PCR negative result, which is taken 2 days earlier, vaccination certificate, and COVID-19 travel insurance for non-Malaysians. Meanwhile, travellers who are partially vaccinated or unvaccinated and show negative RTK antigen results are still required to be quarantined for 5 days, for which they will bear the costs. Those who are fully vaccinated and show negative results may enter Sarawak to proceed to their domestic destinations. For fully vaccinated travellers who tested positive, they are required to be quarantined for 7 days, while those partially vaccinated or unvaccinated will have to undergo quarantine for 10 days. However, those who tested positive and fall under Category 1 and 2 may be quarantined at home if they have one in the state, while those who do not have a home will be quarantined at Low Risk Treatment and Quarantine Centres PKRC. For travellers who suffer more severe COVID-19 symptoms under Category 3 to 5, they will be quarantined at the PKRC.
Hulu Rajang Member of Parliament Dato' Wilson Ugak Kumbong urged the ongoing fire station construction in Sungai Asap in Belaga to be expedited. As of now, the nearest facility located in Belaga, which is an hour-plus drive away. With the presence of such a facility, the relevant agency are able to act during emergencies and mitigating the severity of an incident. Not only that, in cases related to fire, but also cases that involves search and rescue and other distress cases.
Jatuh pasal bomba tu di Parlimen bantuan anda federal. Jadi sampai ke jatuh saja sudah dicek kelulusan dari Kementerian KPKT. Lebih banyaknya sebab hanya hantar bekas Menteri Dato' Nuridah. Bisa jawapan soalan aku dan sampai dia tu berdau bergagak berdau diri bomba banyak kelas di situ. Jadi aku sebagai di Parlimen banyak madak lebih lagi dengan perintah negeri dengan perintah federal patut ngagak titik bomba kelas di Sungai Asap now nak pelanggan.
Previously, the Category E fire station is expected to be commence its construction in 2019 with an estimated total cost of 500,000 ringgit to be fully manned by auxiliary and volunteer firefighters. He said this prior to the incident of 8 two-story wooden shop lots in Belaga, which was razed to the ground at 5:29 a.m. yesterday.
Welcome back to the Nightline. The Sarawak Islamic Council today announced its new standard operating procedures in preparation for the transition to the endemic phase next week, of which the use of face masks is still obligatory at mosques and suraus. However, officials on duty to sound the azan and to lead prayers will be exempted from this ruling. Similarly, the Unit for Other Religions, or UNIFOR, also published its new guidelines, which removed the limit on the number of attendees for non-Muslim houses of worship from April 1.
The new SOPs allows khatib berkhutbah as well as lectures and forums to be held in mosques or surau. Earlier on March 22nd, the council had announced that Friday prayers, fardu, sunat, khutbah and wirid after prayers are allowed without the need for physical distancing. Meanwhile, the management and burial of non-COVID-19 related remains are permitted but with physical distancing. Similarly, the Unit for Other Religions, UNIFOR, will also lift the cap limit on the number of attendees for other houses of worship as well as funeral and burial ceremonies starting April 1st. Nonetheless, physical distancing will still be required at all times. The same set of SOPs is also applicable for the upcoming King Ming Festival, in which face masks must be worn and attendees must wash and sanitize their hands as well as maintaining their physical distance. Meanwhile, funerals for COVID-19 positive cases are still subject to the SOPs issued by the Ministry of Health.
On the other hand, all COVID-19 vaccine candidates that are being developed in the country have yet to be commercialized. Deputy Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Ahmad Amzad Hashim, said the vaccine candidates must undergo research and development or R&D process, clinical and preclinical studies before they can be done so.
Setiap langkah penghasilan vaksin perlu mematuhi peraturan dan piawaian bahagian regulatory farmasi negara, NPRA dan juga peringkat antarabangsa.
He said this in a response to a question from Senator Datuk Paul Igai, who wanted to know the current status on the manufacture of local COVID-19 vaccines as well as the list of vaccines that have been developed and commercialized by Malaysia. Ahmad also added that the country was currently developing two types of COVID-19 vaccines, namely inactivated and messenger ribonucleic acid or mRNA vaccines. On the production of the inactivated vaccine, he said it was now at the preclinical study phase and that the proof of the concept study, which started in February 2022, was expected to complete by July 2022, following which data analysis would be conducted and completed by end December this year.
Yang kedua adalah teknologi vaksin berasaskan mRNA, yang mana ia berada di peringkat makmal, iaitu in vitro transcription ke atas cell culture. Dengan izin, pertama yang telah bermula pada Jun 2021 dan dijangkakan siap pada Disember 2022. Sekiranya pembuktian konsep kedua-dua vaksin ini berjaya, pelaksanaan penghasilan vaksin ini akan diteruskan melalui makmal yang telah diakreditasikan sebagai Good Laboratory Practice GLP dan Good Manufacturing Practice GMP.
2 million Sinovac vaccine recipients who have not received the booster shot are reminded to get their shots as soon as possible. This was considering that Sinovac vaccine recipients are to have a higher risk of symptoms if the third booster jab has not been administered. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said, although COVID-19 infections can infect any vaccine recipients regardless of brands, however, Sinovac vaccine recipients are more prone towards infections.
Dari segi risiko jangkitan, kita memang dah akui kemungkinan berlakunya jangkitan untuk mana-mana vaksin pun dengan Omicron lebih tinggi, lebih-lebih lagi Sinovac. Tetapi kita dapati bahawa tahap perlindungan, terutamanya kepada gejala yang paling buruk, kematian, kemasukan ke ICU dan sebagainya, masih lagi memuaskan. Cuma dia lagi tinggi sekiranya mendapat dos penggalak. Yang terbaik adalah untuk mendapatkan dos penggalak. 2 juta penerima Sinovac yang belum dapat dos penggalak sangat-sangat digalakkan untuk dapatkan dalam masa yang terdekat.
Previously, reports confirmed about 2 million primary vaccine recipients of Sinovac are at risk of worse COVID-19 infections without any additional protection. Based on data provided by Institute of Clinical Research (ICR), Institute of National Health (NIH), the level of immunity will decrease over a period of 3 to 5 months after receiving the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. For Sinovac recipients, immunity level in the first and second months after the second dose will drop around 76.1% and decrease within 5 to 6 months of 48.2%, with immunity as low as 27.9%. For Pfizer vaccine recipients, within 1 to 2 months after receiving the second dosage, the immunity level in the body will decrease by 68% to 20.7% compared to 88.7% after a period of 3 to 5 months. The Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, KPDN-HEP, has assured that it will investigate every case of excessive price increases in detail and comprehensively at every stage of distribution to prevent profiteering activities.
Its Deputy Minister Datuk Rosol Wahid said every complaint of unreasonable price increase would be investigated, starting from manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors and retailers to find out the cause. He said as country with an open economic system, the price of goods was determined by demand and supply factors and traders could determine any change in the price of goods. But it was subject to the enforcement of the Price Control and Anti-Profiteering Act 2011. In addition, more than 2,200 enforcement officers with the assistance of about 1,000 price monitoring officers will monitor business activities at Ramadan bazaars nationwide this year.
There has been no plans as yet to conduct a feasibility study to build a railway network linking Sarawak and Sabah to Indonesia's new capital in Kalimantan, said its Transport Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wee Ka Siong.
He also added that any proposals for land and air connectivity from Sarawak and Sabah to the new Indonesian capital should be supported by projected passenger statistic so that the detailed planning could be done. On any development project or upgrading of any airport, we said it should be implemented based on the concept of evidence-based planning in the development of the transport sector to meet market needs. Currently, the MOT was doing a study on the National Airport Strategic Plan, which encompasses development airports and stall ports, short takeoff and landing airports in Malaysia, which is scheduled to be completed in the middle of next year, in line with the National Transport Policy 2019 till 2030. However, the MOT would encourage and would facilitate any local or foreign airlines that wish to provide flight services for routes to Nusantara, the soon-to-be-built new capital of Indonesia in the future.
The Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development will study the proposal to impose a community service of between 100 and 150 days as punishment against individuals found mocking persons with disabilities, PWDs.
Its Deputy Minister Datuk Siti Zailah Muhammad Yusof said the ministry believed that the proposal should be implemented as community service programs outline 3 main elements, namely punishment, rehabilitation and repentance.
Perbuatan mengutuk, menghina, mencaci bentuk tubuh seseorang adalah satu kesalahan jenayah dan boleh diambil tindakan undang-undang. Namun, pewujudan remedi dan penalti yang munasabah bagi menangani isu-isu tersebut seperti yang telah dicadangkan memerlukan penelitian lanjut daripada aspek perundangan.
She said the offence could be investigated under Section 233 in bracket 1, subsection A, subsection B of the Communication and Multimedia Act 1998, Section 504 of the Penal Code and Section 14 of the Minor Offences Act 1955. On the proposed PWD Commission, Siti Zaila said currently any complaints, appeals and petitions related to disabled rights violations could be addressed to the Human Rights Commission of Malaysia Suhakam and other existing laws. Meanwhile, on the status of the PWD Action Plan 2016-2022, she said KPWKM was reviewing the achievements of the programs and actions under the plan based on the feedback received from lead agencies.
Thank you for staying with me. And now on to our world affairs. Shanghai City will split in two for roughly 9 days to allow staggered testing to contain the surging COVID-19 cases. The drastic two-stage lockdown launched would involve 26 million. This is the biggest COVID-related disruption to hit the city.
While residents in the east were confined to their homes, those in the west stockpiled groceries and other essential goods as they prepared for a similar fate starting on April 1st, with delivery services overwhelmed and supermarkets running low on supplies.
感觉我的感觉慢了点，就是慢了点，应该早点动作就好了就，因为前面已经陆续的说封块管理以后有20多天了嘛，有点慢了点。 好像管了，我感觉这个风貌还是应该是好的，也是。
感觉并不意外，因为这次疫情来的也比较突然，但当然国家和政府其实做的也是很到位的，我们也相当支持这个居委会啊，包括社区还有警察义务工作者的这些工作。
The lockdown order marks a turnaround for Shanghai's authorities, which on Saturday denied the city would be locked down as it pursued a more gradual approach to try to manage the infections.
Well, that update concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. Here with me, Shoshameto, and I'll see you next time. Have a good morning.